These Russian women are looking for an American husband. One of these three men can help them find their match. Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Ron Rollband.
Number two.
My name is Ron Rollband.
Number three.
My name is Ron Rollband.
Only one of these people is the real Ron Rollband and is the only one sworn to tell the truth. Now let's meet our panel. Co-star of Murder, She Wrote, Ron Mason. Anchorwoman of WWOR TV in New York, Jennifer Valoppi. Film and television producer, David Niven Jr. And to tell the truth's very own, Kitty Carlisle. Here's the host of To Tell the Truth, Lynn Swann.
Thank you. Well, I certainly can tell that you're alive and well this morning and feeling good. Welcome to Tell the Truth, everyone. And panel, a good morning to you.
Oh, thank you.
Good to have you all here. So let's get right to the story presented by our first team of challengers, all three of whom claim to be Ron Rollband, and this is his story. Please, read along with me. I, Ron Rollband, am a matchmaker. I am the director of an American-Russian mating service. Believing it's better to make love than war, we try to unite Americans and Russians in holy matrimony. Our clients receive biographies and photographs of their prospective mates, expert translation of their love letters, and if the chemistry is right, we'll arrange a romantic trip to Russia to meet the prospective spouse. Once there, our clients can dispel for themselves the myth that Soviet women all look like construction workers. We have selected women from all walks of Soviet life. For some, marriage to an American citizen is a means of escape. So remember, if you want to help improve Soviet-American relations, have I got a girl for you. Signed, Ron Rollband. We'll find out more about this Muscovite matchmaker right after this. All right, panel, these three people claim to be Ron Rollband, American-Russian matchmaker. Kitty, we'll give you the honors first.
Thank you so much. Number one, how much does it cost to join your dating service?
$25.
How much?
$25.
Oh,
cheap.
but number two, how much do you charge to take your clients to Russia?
$3,000.
And number three, how long have you been doing this?
8 months.
Oh, I see, because before that, number two, they weren't allowed to leave Russia, were they? The girls? Or, do you do girls or boys or both?
Both, but the market is primarily for women.
Mostly what?
Mostly for women, he said. The market. Interesting. David.
Thank you. Number one, how successful are you?
Very.
Meaning what exactly?
We have approximately 2,600 Russians and approximately 600 Americans.
Okay. Number two, I mean, why do you concentrate more on women rather than men? Maybe Russian men are better looking than Russian women as far as American women are concerned as against American men.
We didn't make the choice. The demand is for the women.
Okay. Now, number three, when it comes to biographies and photographs, I mean, often people lie. They tend to say that they do a lot more than they've really done. Is this the case in your business?
They're usually quite honest.
Quite honest.
Yes.
Meaning?
Meaning you'll have to find out later on. Jennifer.
Number two, you said that the demand is for the women. Does that mean that American men have been actively out there seeking to find Soviet women?
They currently are, yes.
Number one, did you start this business because of that demand? Because American men were coming to you looking for Soviets?
Well, not exactly. I started it for other reasons that had to do with my feelings of wanting to do something with what's happening in the New World Order.
Number three, why did you start the business?
I took a trip to Russia, and from the reaction that I got from the Russian women over there, that gave me the idea to start the program and the business.
Number two, how many...
Thank you, Jennifer. They're looking for liberated men, I guess, like Ron Masak.
Yes. Number three, do you have a partner that's over in Russia?
I have two partners.
And number one, did they take the pictures over there and send them to you?
Both. I've done some myself.
And number two, where do you work out of? What office or what city?
In Sherman Oaks in Studio City.
Sherman Oaks and Studio City. Number three, how do we know that the pictures that they send are really the girl?
They're certified by our company.
They're certified by your company. Number one, love letters.
Thank you. Obviously, it's a very risky business, but that bell means it's time for you to vote for either number one, number two, or number three. Our team of challengers will receive $500 for each incorrect vote with a guarantee of $1,000. And if our panel is completely fooled, our team of challengers will receive $3,000. So, Kitty, do you think you have a line on it?
Well, I tell you, I think a dating service is just about as successful as the hunt and peck system that most people use to find their mate in life. And it looks to me like number two has a very serious attitude. I think he has some interest in the Soviet Union. I get that vibration. So I voted for number two.
Yes. Sounds like a song. Good vibrations, yes. David.
Well, I think number one looks like he probably would run a regular sort of American-type dating service, so I wouldn't go for him. Number three looks slightly Russian and probably speaks Russian and would be attracted to Russian women, so I'm voting for number three.
Looks like he runs a dating service. Is that a lonely look or...
It's a...
just wondering. Jennifer.
Happy look, I think.
Happy look, yes.
Well, actually, I have to agree with you, David. Number three looks to me like he would really like Russian women. That looks like his style. So I voted for number three.
All right. Ron.
Well, I figured that this crack staff who tries to fool us every week would get somebody who looked a little Russian, so that eliminated number three in my mind.
Or here comes that double thinking
yes,
again.
Now number two looked like somebody who would work with James Bond or something undercover. And number one reminds me a lot of Joel Grey, and I've always liked Joel Grey, so I voted for you, number one.
All of that for a personal like. Okay, let's recap the votes. Number one, you have a single vote. Number two, a single vote. And number three, you have 2 votes. Now it's time to find out who the real Cupid is. With the real Ron Rolban, please stand up. Number two. It's got good vibration, please. And it worked again.
You like me, Kitty. You might find a new husband.
Ron, let me ask you this. As you said, some of the Soviet women may be looking to escape. What's the risk of one of them marrying an American man, coming over here, establishing herself, then getting a quick divorce and going about her own business?
Well, there can't be any such thing as a quick divorce. Anything before 2 years in their history here, they're going to be deported. With respect to your ability to define whether or not they're just making this gesture as an opportunity, we've all said at one time, I think, that if I just had a chance, I could make them love me. Well, 2 years is a pretty good shot to have that opportunity.
I think so. I know I've seen on programs before, there are lots of men in Alaska looking for wives.
Yes.
And it's not that far from Russia. You might have to look up there for a few good men. Let's find out about your imposters and who they are. Number one.
My name is Dr. Jack Thomas, and I'm a physician in family practice.
Terrific. Number three.
My name is Harry Blair. I'm an investigator with the California Department of Justice, and I'm single, and I'm thinking of doing some investigations in Moscow.
Very well done. Well, there were 3 incorrect votes, which means your team will receive $1,500. You played the game extremely well. Thank you for being here on To Tell the Truth. We'll be back with a man who gambled more than $1 billion right after this. We're back on To Tell the Truth. Let's meet our next team of challengers.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Brian Maloney.
Number two.
My name is Brian Maloney.
Number three.
My name is Brian Maloney.
And panel, it's up to you to locate the real Brian Maloney. This is the story. Read along with me. I, Brian Maloney, am a compulsive gambler. In a 1-year gambling binge, I placed more than $1 billion in bets. My work as a bank executive gave me access to the funds which fueled my compulsive habit. And all, I embezzled $17 million from my bank, and the bank officials never caught on. Armed with huge amounts of cash, I played craps and bet $200,000 on a single throw of the dice. At the baccarat table, I wagered $75,000 a hand every 30 seconds. I didn't know much, excuse me, about college football, but plunked down $5,000 each on 40 different games. I bet $500,000 on a Super Bowl game. My habit was consuming me. Finally, I was nabbed by the police. I served 2 years in jail, and now I lecture on the subject of compulsive gambling. I won't gamble again, and you can bet on it. Signed, Brian Maloney. Well, I can tell you that's the strongest gambling habit I've ever heard of, Ron.
Yeah. Oh, it's me, ready to go?
Yes.
Number one, who would accept a $500,000 bet?
Any casino will accept it because I was a cash gambler.
And number two, what do they call a big better in Vegas?
High roller.
Number three, it said you $1 billion you bet. Did you ever win at all during this time?
Yes, you win and you lose.
You win and you lose. Well, didn't the bank, I mean, number one, the bank never caught on that you embezzled $17 million?
Never once.
I hope my money's not in that bank.
Jennifer.
Number three, how long did you gamble for before you went on this binge?
15 years.
So you had been gambling most of your life, or a good portion of your life?
Yes.
Number two, did you ever have problems with gambling prior to this binge?
I never thought I had a gambling problem.
Number one, is it really as they say that it's like alcoholism?
It's a sickness. It's an out-and-out addiction. There's no difference between it and alcohol and nicotine or whatever.
Number two, what was going through your mind as you were laying down these ridiculously large bets on something you probably weren't going to win?
I was always looking forward to the next game. It was the action.
David.
Thank you. Number one, which bank did you work for?
Citicorp.
Moving right along. Okay. Number two, why do you think the bank officials never caught on?
I had a position of some influence in the bank, and I don't think that they ever noticed anything.
All right. Number three, if they didn't notice anything, how did you get the money back into the bank that you won? Did you return anything?
Some was paid back over the time, but when I was arrested, that's the loss.
All right. Number one, how did you get nabbed?
It was a fluke, an absolute fluke. They were tapping my bookies line, and it led to me, and they started checking out me.
Okay. Number two, what jail did you go to?
Thank you, David. Kitty.
Goodness. Number three, is there any unifying characteristic among gamblers?
The need for action.
And number two, did you have any psychiatric help?
No, I didn't. I completed a gambling addiction program during prison.
And number one, you now teach about gamblers, how not to gamble?
Well, we talk about it as a sickness and how it's insidious. I mean, you lose your house and spouse.
Yeah, but number two, how do you avoid losing your house and everything else?
We'll have to find out later because there's a bell, which means, panel, once again, you have to vote for either number one, number two, or number three. And Ron, for whom did you vote?
It could be any one of them. I simply got more answers from number two. Not too much information volunteered, but he knew what a high roller was. The thing that stuck in my mind, he said it was just the action, it wasn't the money. And to me, that's what a real gambler is, it's just the action. Number two.
All right. Jennifer.
Yeah, I very much like number two also. I particularly liked his answer when he said he was just always looking forward to the next bet and wasn't even concentrating on what he was doing. However, I think that number one was extremely convincing and is coming across in a way where I think he could probably pull off something like this, because this has got to be a very difficult thing to do, to get away with this both with your employer and in the casino. So I voted for number one.
David.
Well, that makes perfectly good sense, but I don't agree with you. I voted for number three because he looks like one of my bankers that I have at Citicorp, and who mysteriously left.
The bank look theory of David Niven Jr. Kitty.
Well, and now I know I'm wrong, because for the first time, David, I'm with you.
Okay.
I really thought it was number three because he really gave wonderful answers, and he has a kind of gimlet eye look of a very good gambler. But I voted for number three, so there we are, David.
That gimlet eye look. I have to remember that. Let's recap the votes quickly. Number one, you have a vote. Number two has a vote. Number three, you've got the vote. from David and Kitty, and they're not quite sure if they're right at this point. Now let's find out who the real billion-dollar man is. Will the real Brian Maloney please stand up? If you both were correct. Brian, we'll get right back to you. Let's find out about your imposters first. Number one, your name and what do you do?
I'm Carl Kovac, and I'm retired from my own computer distribution firm.
Terrific. Number two?
My name is Frank Jennings. I'm a commercial real estate developer based in Southern California.
Terrific. There were 2 incorrect votes, so your team will receive $1,000, and thank you for playing. You played very well. Now, Brian, what was the most money you bet in one night?
Cumulatively, somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 million.
Huh. Boy. Now, what happens? Do you have to reimburse the bank at all?
I've entered into a voluntary restitution agreement where they'll get a percentage of my earnings, including my fee from today, over the next 20 years as restitution.
Okay, now, I got to ask you just a quick answer. Which Super Bowl did you bet $500,000 on?
Not yours, Lynn. It was the one between San Francisco and Cincinnati.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure. Because if you hadn't bet on us, you would have lost anyway. Okay. If you'd like to read more about Brian Maloney, his book is entitled No Limit, okay? Now, we'll be right back to play one-on-one with someone from our studio audience right after this. Now it's time to play one-on-one with someone from our studio audience. So, Burton, who do you have for us today?
Lynn, today we have Jay Dutton from Sunland, California.
Jay, welcome.
Welcome. Hi, Lynn.
Here's your chance to play one-on-one. I want you to meet a young man who has 2 stories. Please welcome Julian Nieves. Julian, welcome. Now, Jay, Julian is going to tell you 2 stories, only one of which is the truth. If you spot that true story, you'll win $500. So listen carefully. Julian, what's your first story?
I make little bird nests. I weave them out of strands of my hair.
All right, now that may or may not be the truth, so listen to story number 2.
I am a material boy. I make my living impersonating Madonna.
All right, panel, you'll have to help Jay win $500. 1 question about each subject. We'll start, Kitty, with the first subject, the bird's nest.
How big are your bird's nests?
They're very small.
David.
Well, how many bird's nests a year do you make?
About 60.
60?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Jennifer?
What happens as your hair starts to get short?
It doesn't get short. My hair grows very fast.
Ron.
What little birds live in these little bird nests?
Parakeets, basically.
All right, Jay, that's story number 1. Now, story number 2, Madonna. Kitty?
Where do you do this?
In clubs in Hollywood.
David?
And have you been doing this for a number of years?
Many years.
Okay. Jennifer?
Madonna's gone through a lot of different looks. Which is the look that you most impersonate?
The newest look with the ponytail.
Ron?
What is La Cage aux Folles?
A nightclub.
All right, Jay, you heard the cross-examination. Is Julian the man who makes bird's nests from his own hair, or does he impersonate Madonna?
If he made bird's nests from his hair, it would be a lot shorter. So I'm going to say Madonna.
You're going to say Madonna. We'll find out shortly. Julian, what is your true story?
To tell the truth, I impersonate Madonna.
Congratulations, Jay. You win $500. Very well done. Now, Julian, what first got you into impersonating Madonna?
People used to tell me I used to look like her in makeup.
Okay. Well, thank you very much
Thank
for being
you.
here. Now, don't go away because Julian is going to come back as Madonna right after this. Welcome back to Tell the Truth. Now, as promised, here's Julian Nieves as Madonna. Julian Nieves as Madonna. Terrific. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time on To Tell the Truth.
Playmania, 2 hours of live play-along games right here on GSN, where you could win money from home.
I just won $50.
Go to gsn.com right now for details.
Playmania live late tonight at 1 a.m., 12 Central, only on GSN.